final CSA. And I will turn it over to Anita. All right, go for it.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to finish up with infrastructure. And go back. The three partners we're going to be talking about today are improved airport services, protect drinking water.
Mike, is there a mic on?
Yes. The three priorities we're going to be talking about today are improve airport services, protect drinking water source area, and improve infrastructure conditions. Before we move on, we have a short video.
Safer, modernized streets. Key corridors refurbished. Sidewalks and curbs replaced or repaired in residential and business districts. New playgrounds, walking paths, and parking areas at city-owned parks. These are essential elements of strategic City of Dayton infrastructure investments designed to improve safety, accessibility, and quality of life for residents, while strengthening the business and development environment. As stewards of the community's infrastructure, Dayton's Department of Public Works manages a multifaceted program of improvements in addition to routine operations such as street maintenance. Public Works seeks and receives major funding support from state and federal sources, in addition to City of Dayton contributions. In 2025, the Department of Public Works managed these and many other projects changing Dayton. At Gettysburg Park, improvements include new sidewalks, curbs, and parking surfaces. New shelters are also planned. Gettysburg is one of more than 20 Dayton parks. Replacing curbs and sidewalks along Harriet Street and Carillon enhances safety, walkability, and quality of life in a city neighborhood. Resurfacing and restriping North Main Street is the final phase of a comprehensive, safety-focused project to calm traffic flow and create safer pathways for drivers, cyclists, pedestrians, and public transit. Additional major projects for the year include a rebuild of the Salem and Philadelphia intersection and the reconstruction of South Main Street from Patterson Boulevard to 6th Street. Investing in Dayton. Strengthening neighborhoods and the business environment. Connecting communities.
As you can see, the budget for infrastructure for 26 is controlled by $1.9 million or 1.6%. Improved airport services is going to go up by 6.3%. Improved infrastructure conditions is going down by 2.7%. And protect water treatment services is going to go up by 1.9%. Moving down to the other part of the slide, you can see that airport operations facility is going to be going up by almost $700,000, and that's because there's an increase in contracts and materials. Wright Brothers Airport is going to be going up. That's an increase in overtime based on trends, and also property taxes. Airport non-operating, that's a transfer out to capital for additional capital projects. And then for improved infrastructure conditions, I said that's going to be going down by 2.7%. A lot of that is changes in their contracts and material, or there's no changes in the FTEs, but you're going to see changes in contracts and materials. You're going to see changes in just contracts and materials and transfers. And then for protect drinking water sources, that's going to be going up by $1.3 million. Again, that's going to be reductions in contracts and materials or increases in contract materials and changes to their debt. And we're retiring some bond, and you're going to see some changes in the transfers out to capital. Here, this slide is just a trend. As you can see, we've been going up. We started in 20, we've been going up, and then we're going down, going up, and going down. And then in 23, 24, and 25, we continue to go up. And as you can see, we're going to continue to go up in 26 for the proposed budget. The first area we're going to talk about data and land management, your dollars for neighborhood. The proposed budget for 26, there is no change. The personnel budget is going to be $175,000. And the contracts materials is going to be 468,500. If you break it out, that's 355 for contracts materials, and then capital equipment 113,000. And now.
The strategic objective here is to maintain city boulevards and minimize the potential for vacant lots to become a hazard to public health and safety and enhance the appearance of city neighborhoods. The measure of progress here is percentage of vacant lots mowed and cleaned at 100%. That is the goal for 2025. We have approximately 6,500 lots that are mowed, and we do a total of 5 cycles. In 2024, quarter 3 was at 100%, the same is true in 2025, and we have that same goal set for 2026. Future goals is just to continue to review operational activities for cleaning and mowing, vacant and abandoned properties, to improve cleaning and mowing cycles, to census tract neighborhoods with large numbers of vacant and abandoned properties.
Doing non-public works administrative and civil engineering, your dollars, your neighborhood, the 26 proposed budget for personnel is going to be going up by 5.2%. And that's just line movement. There's no changes to the FTE. There's one health insurance holiday, and this assumes a 40% charge off to projects versus 25 when we had a 50% charge off. Your capital equipment, you have 954,000. I'm sorry, contracts and totals 954,000. Capital equipment is at 1.4, and our transfers are at $9.8 million. So overall, we're going down 7.5%, and that's because there's a decrease in professional services and contracts materials, but it's offset by an increase in software for services. Our capital equipment technology, that's going to be going up because they're going to be purchasing a pickup truck and a bucket truck, and then transfers out. Your dollars, your neighborhood, there is no change for funding for resurfacing. However, transfers out to capital are going to see a reduction of $1.3 million. And that's because we are keeping the funding for technology in the general fund for 26 versus in 25, and we're going to transfer it out.
Thank you, Anita. Sorry.
Yes.
Jump ship there. Taking my segue. All right, so the strategic objective for us is to ensure the integrity of the city's right of way and a safe and efficient movement of all users. So our measures of progress up there are the residential pavement condition index change of a 3-point change at least for our residential streets. You can see up there, we don't have anything to report in quarters 3 for 24 or 25 because we don't measure it till after we've paved all our streets out after 24. But we continue to see the growth in our PCI, and we will be rerunning our streets this year to ensure we know an accurate number on where we are with our PCI. So a lot of the numbers in here are projections of our PCI, just so everybody's aware. When we get this rerun, we'll have a definite number back again. So next is the number of lane miles paved. So residential and thoroughfare lane miles. We strive for a 50+ lane miles paved. In quarter 3 of 24, we did 41. This year in quarter 3 of 25, we only did 28. And I will say that number is lower because of a lot of the ARPA work that we're doing. We're trying to combine the curb and sidewalk work that we've done in a lot of these neighborhoods and pave them. So we're trying to, create a whole complete street. So we're waiting for that work to get completed before they can come in and do the paving behind it. So our future goals: obtain at least a point of growth for our PCI in 26, pave at least 55 lane miles. And then I think Abby alluded to it earlier, and Commissioner Turner-Sloss, you had the question, and I know Commissioner Fairchild, you had the question about where we stand on our paving. So we've paved 52% of our residential lane miles. So over half of our residential lane miles we have paved since the implementation of, the passage, I guess, of issue 9, now renewal of issue 6 in 2017. So that's where we're at. We're shifting our focus, not completely away from resurfacing, but to the maintenance to make sure and ensure we keep the roads good and don't let them fall into disrepair. When I started in 08, we only relied on the CDBG budget, and that was $1 million, and we were scraping together, a couple of streets and really falling behind. So I would caution, shifting the focus from resurfacing to other efforts while they're merited, to allow that to slip off tends to allow us to fall behind and put it back to square one. Have to go and get additional funds and greater funds. So another item for our future goals is to work on a plan to reinstitute a curb and sidewalk program. I know we did a lot of the mayor's tours and heard from a lot of the citizens for the need for curb and sidewalk repair and coming around and facilitating that. So with the manager's office, Ms. Lofton, management and budget and finance, we're working on a strategy to reinstitute that in the future here, 26, 27 probably. So as far as continue our cultural balance, I think Matt Newton tried to slide in a little blurb for himself there for fleet management, but for us in civil engineering, we just want to continue to develop our group, help them grow professionally, but also in the safety realm as well, understanding the hazards that are out there and making sure that we have safe work environments. So we want to grow our workforce, educate our workforce, and make sure we're strong and resilient. So.
Moving on to Parks and Forestry, your dollars, your neighborhood. The personnel budget is $3.3 million for 26. It's going down ever so small. There is a change in every going from 38 to 39, but this is offset by vacancy savings. The contracts materials are going down by 6,300, and again, we're going to continue to fund parks by 244,000.
And our strategic objective here is maintain and beautify Dayton's parks, right-of-ways, and other public areas. Provide and maintain clean, safe, and enjoyable public spaces for residents and visitors. Our measures of progress here are percentage of parks cleaned and mowed per 14-day mow cycle. And we had a annual target there for this year of 100%. And we ended 2025 in Q3 at 91.6. And then the other measure of progress was percentage of parks cleaned and mowed per 21-day mow cycle. Again, we had a target of 100%, and we ended 2025 in the third quarter at 95.6. I did want to mention, if you remember, we've had droughts here recently, but back in April and May, we had a lot of rainfall. We actually had a record set on April 5th for the most rain in a single day on that date, and then also in May 6th, same thing. So our percentages dropped a little bit, still well into the 90s, but that's what happened on those occurrences. Our future goals are to continue the maintenance of all park mow cycles. And then as parks are upgraded and are completed, additional parks will be transitioned from a 21-day mow cycle to a 14-day mow cycle.
Maintenance. Moving on to street maintenance, the personnel budget is $5.1 million, that's percentage 3.4%. And then just in the contracts materials, we go from 3 and we have transfers out of 160,000. Overall, that's going down by 3%. And that's because telephone, fleet rental, and training have been reduced. But it's also offset by an increase in cost allocation and other professional services. There's no funding for capital equipment for 26, and the transfer out of 163,000 will remain the same. And again, this is to sweep.
The strategic objective here is to keep City of Dayton's roads and streets clean, safe, and accessible to the public. Provide clean roadways by providing street sweeping service to city neighborhoods and highways. Measures of progress, percentage of loose leaf collection cycles completed for 65 neighborhoods. 2024 year-end results was at 90%. We set a target this year of 100% to complete 2 cycles. And we will actually begin this here in the next week or 2, right? Monday. So we'll start the first cycle of the leaf collection on Monday. Future goals are to continue performing effective maintenance and repairs on all leaf collection equipment and manage the collection schedule of completing 100% of 2 cycles between October and January. And then the other goal is to complete 100% of 4 street sweeping cycles, once per quarter, to ensure operational efficiency and continued maintenance on street sweeper. Going on to the second page here. Percentage of potholes repaired in 48 hours. after receiving a complaint. So in 2024, our year-end results was 95.9%. We set a goal at 95. This year, into the third quarter, came in at 92.2. And again, this is another one of those activities that is affected whenever you have a rainfall. You can see by one of the pictures there, with the rain. Future goals here is work to identify challenges and determine causes for delays in a timely response for pothole repair through process review and available data analysis in order to respond to pothole complaints within 48 hours of receipt. Continue to refine and update the capital equipment replacement schedule to address community needs and support staff with reliable traffic. Implement team building activities and events such as the 2025 snowplow rodeo that we just had last Friday that encouraged collaboration, training, and enjoyment. Continue to identify opportunities to recognize employees for milestones and achievements through individual acts of service and group activity. And provide additional opportunities for cross-training to upskill staff, leading to better communication and coordination of services.
And that's what is the parking garage management. It's going up by 1.5%. And then your contract materials are going up by 3.8%. There are no changes in the estimates in only one position in this area. And your contract materials, they're going up, and that's because of the rate for ADS.
A strategic objective here is to maintain city-owned parking structures and lots to support Dayton infrastructure and parking needs for residents and visitors. Measure of progress operating expense ratio, 2024 year-end results came in 102.9. We're still working to determine the target that we want to use for that. The future goals, perform another parking rate analysis for 2026 that will look at monthly parking rates. The Oregon Garage Max Transient and event rate increased to $10 in early 2024. This is near the top of local rates, and unless new data suggests this rate will remain for 2026. Monthly parking rates for the municipal parking garage is currently $75 a month, and the Oregon garage is $55 a month. So at the last review in 2024, the average monthly parking rate for downtown garage parking was $75.
These solution priority areas now are in improved airport services of aviation. The budget is going up by a very small amount. It's going to be $4.7 million for 26. And contract materials and capital equipment are going to be going up by 4.7%. Of that, we have $6.3 million in contracts material and your capital equipment of $83,000. So for personnel, there is going to be a change in FTEs. You're going to go from 52 to 53, but that's offset by vacancy savings. And then in your contracts and materials, you're going up for service for temporary services, repairs to roof, and software support. And again, there's a slight increase in your capital equipment for 26.
Okay, thank you, Dee. Well, our strategic objective to ensure the overall quality of the airport terminal space positively contribute to the customer experience and remain affordable for airport customers and airlines. So we the first measure is the only measure, the average customer experience survey. So we have QR codes all around the airport. So we want to know, what our customers think about our airport, and we've been getting a lot of feedback on them. Basically, garage, and they come into the checkpoint to look at our concessions, the restroom, the cleanliness of the whole area, and we get a lot of feedback on that of exactly how we're doing. As and the target for 2025 was 4.5. We got a 4.6. Some of the areas that we've been getting concerned about, of course, is the restrooms, the carpet, and our concessions. So you just approved a new contract for our new concession for our food and beverage, Tailwinds. They're going to come in and bring in a new concept for the old Max and Irma's. That's going to be a walk room. The Dunkin' Donuts, that's going to go to a full service kiosk. The Great American Bagel is going to switch over to a Buckeye Pie pizza shop. And both of the restaurants in the concourse, that's going to revive as well. So that's going to bring just a refresh look, and they're committed to invest over $2 million to refresh all of our concessions food and beverage area. So that's going to really up that. And they have committed to keep those restaurants open when the airlines are operating. So that's one of the concerns that, a lot of people say, we can't get anything to eat. Here, can't get anything to eat. Also today, we signed a contract with a vendor to bring in coffee. So there's going to be coffee vending machine in the lobby and one in each concourse. So someone will be able to get hot coffee any time of day while at the airport. So we're excited about that. We can bring that customer experience, make that improvement of customer experience. So we're going to work on the other things as far as the restrooms or the carpet, making sure that when people are in the hold area and that they have just a great positive experience. From the time that they book their ticket, either through our website or through the airline's website, when they come into the airport, when it's parked in the garage, when they walk over to the ticket lobby, were they greeted properly? Was the place clean? What was their experience to the checkpoint? What was their experience when they got to the hold area? We want to keep focusing on that and making sure that has the best positive experience for this community. Our future goals to maintain the overall customer service experience. So again, we've got a 4.6 on 6 on the 5.0. I'll move it higher. Move it even higher. Facilitate the seamless integration of our new concessions into the airport operation. Effectively manage all terminal maintenance projects. And one of the things when we did the checkpoint, I think we failed. I'm just going to admit my failure. So one of the things we didn't really do a good job of managing, the contractor working in the area where the customers were. So we're going to do a better job. And that's one of the goals is to make sure that when we do a project, we have the customers in mind. How does that impact the customer when they come into the terminal? Are they walking into a mess? They're walking into a construction nightmare. We don't want that. So we're going to hold the contractors to a higher standard. So when they're working in the terminal, we're going to focus on the customer, not the project. The minimum time getting out of there and collecting a check and go, leaving us with the miss. Maintain a high quality airport experience by prioritizing safety, cleanliness, and facility upkeep for all customers.
Moving on to Wright Brothers Airport, as you can see, personnel is going up by 17.4%. That's because higher for overtime, and that's based on trends. But this again is offset by vacancy savings. The contract is going up by 65%, and that's because there's an increase in real estate taxes, and also the rate for AES is going up for 26. Gil?
Strategic objective, improving the general aviation experience at the airport through continued development of the properties and services. As you know, we have another airport down to Dayton, which is a one runway airport and a large terminal. We have several hangars that we lease out. So currently all the hangars are leased, and there's opportunity over the past, since I've been director in that 5 years, we've probably built about 6 new hangars that have gone up down at that airport in the past 5 years. Probably haven't heard about it, but they're small hangars, and Mr. Connor has probably built the largest one down there, but the airport is growing quite a bit. So, and we get a lot of requests for T hangars. So we're in the process now of refurbishing all the T hangars down there, the last 2. The last set is going to be, they start to work on that one, so that should be completed by the end of the year. But we've already got a waiting list of people that want to get into those T hangars. So it's all exciting. Measure progress. There's a change in yield revenue. It's a new measure, but we're doing very well on that. Our target was 8%. And for the third quarter, we're at 11.2. We keep the target at 8% for the revenue. Incentive lease hangar space, target 100%. So I told you, we got a waiting list for people that want to come into the airport and build hangars. So we're constantly working on ways to build more hangars for new customers that want to build on the airport. So all exciting. Future goals, continue to maintain and operate the airport 7 days a week, serving mainly corporate and personal aircraft users. Thanks.
Moving on to airport planning and clearing capital project. The personnel budget is going to be going up 4.5%, And that's because of the overtime and how it was allocated across all divisions. Line movement and merit increases. It also, they do have vacancies. Your contracts, materials, and debt service and transfers is only going to go up by 1.1%. Contracts, materials, however, is going down, and your transfers out are going up to fund additional capital projects.
Okay. Strategic objective, effectively manage the airport's capital improvement program. To measure progress, soft cost as percentage of overall project cost. So our target in 2025 was less than 15%. In the third quarter, we reached 8.6% with the target. We can continue that for 2026 at less than 15% cost. Future goals to keep our soft costs or indirect costs related to construction activity at or less than 15% of the total project cost. Pursue more federal, state, and other grants to support capital improvements for the airport. So again, we've just really been fortunate that we've got a lot of individuals and companies that want to continue to develop that airport and run our airport as well.
With key areas, we're going to protect drinking water storage area from water, and the first one we're going to sort out with water directly funding. As you can see, this now budget for 2026 is $2.4 million, excluding by 1.4%. Through contracts, material, debt service, and transfers, all total up to $29.6 million, and that's also going down by 2%. The personnel budget's going down, and that's because there's changes in health insurance. They're filling vacant positions at a lower rate, and and there are no changes in the FTE. Your contracts and materials, they're going up by $77,000. That's for temporary services and associate intern. There's no funding for capital equipment in 26. Your debt service is going down, and that's because they're going to be retiring some bonds. And your transfers out to capital are going up by $1 million, and that's to fund additional capital projects for 26.
Well, again, so before I go into what our strategic objective is, I wanted to talk about our associate intern program. For 2025, we actually used 6 DPSU students. We brought them in as a part of our dovetailing off of our career conference, and they spent a few weeks with us during the summer, and they were actually exposed to all the different divisions. So they got to see some of our different programs, and this is our way of trying to grow our basically our personnel from what's here in Dayton, to expose them and say, hey, you don't necessarily need a college degree, but if you want one, here are some of the areas that you can work in within Dayton. So this again is our reaching out to our neighborhoods and saying, hey, this is what we do here. So back over to the objective for this CSA, it's to support the capital asset program. And as you can see, this is talking about our debt coverage. And our debt coverage ratio is actually set by AWWA and industry standards. And as you can see, we've been below 2 for that target area to cover all of our debt coverage. And this has gone from 2024 to 2025, even through third quarter of 2023, as we continue to move forward and do some of those larger projects within the department. Some of the projects that you'll see that's covered by the debt services is we're going to talk about some of the improvements to our infrastructure, as we spoke on what's going on over at the wastewater treatment facility, and then also some of the improvements that's happening over at the treatment plants. Eventually, as we talk about some of our vertical assets, but mainly so far this coverage has concentrated more on a lot of our pipe work, which as we go through some other slides will actually show where you've had some of those decreases because of our aggressive programs. As we go through for future goals, we're going to continue to manage and monitor the water utility financial solvency and to ensure all of our bond requirements are met. So continuing on, this is where we're looking at all of our rates. And as you can see, we are generally, our goal is to be at less than 2.5 of the median income. And as you can see from 2024 and all the way through to quarter 3 in 2025, we're still below that 2.5%. Again, this is based upon industry standard and what's set with AWWA. We continue to be one of the lower water systems when we charge our rates, and this is due to some of the in-house work that we're doing. If you guys remember, last year we talked about the fact that we are the first in Ohio to be certified to run PFAS in-house. This is saving us about $300,000 a year based upon the cost to run these PFAS samples. Also, we've decided to make our carbon dioxide, which is one of our treatment chemicals, in-house, and this is a byproduct from our lime reclamation facility. Also, what's leading in, it's going to be, so as we continue to go on, these are some of our cost-saving measures that we're doing, and also when we talk about some of that in-house work that we do based upon some of those skill sets that we have with our employees in-house. Our future goal is to continue to have our residential rates be 2.5% of the city's median income. And this shows that we are fiscally responsible. Also, we are mindful of the residents that we serve. Again, as we're looking at our rates, we want to be 2.5% of the median income. And this is over on the wastewater side as well. We have our R&D project, which is a part of keeping those numbers low, but it's also showing that we're being responsible and looking at our carbon footprint and reducing what we're releasing out into the atmosphere. We want to continue to do this as we move forward. We've also done things to keep our rates low by having some of the refinancing of some of our debt. You guys passed that charter later on earlier in the year. So
Moving on to water information and moving on to water information and water. The proposed budget for 26, personnel budget is going to be $6.3 million. That's a small decrease. Your contracts, materials, and capital equipment are going to go up by 6.4%. Out of that, you have $3.5 million contracts, materials, and $230,000 in capital equipment. So your personnel budget is going to be going up by, excuse me, a small amount, but you still have your line movement and your merit increases. And the reason why it's not going up by so much is because you have changes in health insurance. They're going from family to single, and the vacant positions were budgeted lower this year, budget lower for 26. Your contracts and materials, they're going up, and that's to increase for administrative costs. Indirect cost is also going up. Software as a service is going up for cybersecurity, computer maintenance for additional services for IGS, and again, capital equipment is decreasing by $65,000.
The objective here is to support supporting the technological needs of the water department, investing in infrastructure identified through risk analysis to improve the integrity of the system. Our goal here is to make sure that our uptime of our scheduled maintenance is within 90% is our target. As you can see in 2024, we were at 97%, and even through Q3 of 2025, we're at 100%. What that means is that our SCADA system, our networks are constantly moving so that we can operate without any outages, which is very important for a water system to make sure that we're optimizing at all time and that not only our network is secure, but also our operations are secure. So our future goals is to maintain and upgrade hardware and software system as needed to ensure reliable and efficient operations, provide technical support to end users to optimize our technological use, and to serve as a technological ambassador promoting the adoption and advancement of new tools and innovations across the department. What's important about these goals is that as we start to move forward, a part of our ability to operate is that we have to make sure we meet all those cybersecurity goals. And by having our system always be on the forefront and staying up to date, that makes sure that our network and also our water system is also secure. So that's the importance to us to make sure that this goal is always met.
Water utility field operations, the 26 budget, personnel, what about your contract materials and capital equipment are going to be doing them by 6.3%. Your personnel budget, even though it's got line movements and merit increases, but the biggest thing in here is going to be the 27th pay for BV. Your capital equipment is going to be going up, and that's because you have administration collection charges, temporary services, and a program of root control that's going to be going up. Your supplies and materials are going to go up due to a pump station replacement parts, sewer camera truck equipment repairs, and smart water sensors and additional meters. Your capital equipment is going to be going up by 24.7%, and that's to replace vehicles at the end of useful life.
So the objective for this one, Blueco's commitment is to provide the highest quality maintenance standards in the industry to ensure the continued health, safety, and welfare of our entire community, as well as enhancing and maintaining the city's water, sanitary, storm, and sewer systems in a reliable, cost-effective manner. What I want to point out is that the city has 800 miles of water main, 700 miles of sewer, and 300 miles of storm. So this group is responsible for maintaining all of that inside of this objective. What we have here for our measure is to have a percentage of the collection system repairs using trenchless repair technology. And we want this to be at 75%. As you can see for 2024, we were at 100%. Our annual target for 2025 was 75%, so we were above that. And if you look at 2025, again, we're still above that at 100%. This means that we're working together with our public works department, and also we're using newer technology that makes the repairs cheaper because we're not going in and messing with the roads. Our future goal is to continue this annual target of 75% of the trenchless connection repairs. Okay, so we're still dealing with our WUFO group here, and this is where we're talking about the number of breaks. The water distribution system integrity rate is less than 50 per year. This is set by industry standard. That's our annual target. As you can see, in 2024, we were less than 50 at 31.6. And as you can see for quarter three, going through, we're still below that less than 50 per year at about 34. On the wastewater side, our goal is to be below 18.5 per year. As you can see for 2024, we finished out with 11, which is below the 18.5. And if you look at 2025, third quarter, we're going to be below that 18.5 per year again. If you look down at the chart below, this is our mid-grade chart that we usually put up every year. And you can starting in 2013 was when we started our aggressive infrastructure repair program, where we were going in and 1% of the system every year. And as you can see, it peaked in 2013 and then has progressively continued to decrease based upon all those investments in the infrastructure. And we'll continue to do that as we move forward so that we have a stable system. This is also, it's not only fiscally and operationally responsible, this is also one of the goals that our regulatory agencies are starting to look at is how much water loss you have. So if you have a good system where you're going in and you're getting those older pipes, you're decreasing that amount of water that you're losing. So this is how we're making sure that we're meeting it. Our future goal is to continue to maintain and upgrade the water distribution system to minimize water main breaks, water service leaks. Water main replacement projects are evaluated on a risk scoring basis, considering likelihood and consequence of failure and the impact of a shutdown and our water loss in our system, and also continue to maintain and upgrade the wastewater collection system to reduce loss. So now we're still on to water truly field operations, and this is based upon the time that we respond. We want to make sure that we're responding within 90 minutes of getting a call. As you can see, our goal is to do this 100% of the time. So when we ended 2024, we were at 94%. And if you look at 2025, we're at 97%. We're not quite hitting that 100% goal, but we are aiming to get there. This is a part of good customer service, which is why we're setting that goal at 100. The percentage of time that water main breaks are responded to within 90 minutes. Again, that's still where we're trying to do 100%. As you can see, we're getting there. We're trying to make sure we're there. And this is also good customer service and also decreasing the time that people may be without services. So our future goal is to continue to maintain and upgrade our water distribution system, perform annual maintenance on the system to include water valve maintenance, We want to strive to meet that 100% response time for the collection system complaints and also continue with 100% response time of 90 minutes on the water distribution side.
Program for total budget is going to be $446.5 million. Infrastructure includes cash of $1.3 million. Resurfacing, we're going to have $5.9 million. Other sources include federal, other in CDBG. The total funding for infrastructure is going to be $22 million. The facilities budget is going to be $9.5 million. Of that, $1.2 million is going to be in cash, and we're going to issue debt of $8.3 million. The neighborhood development has a budget of $9.3 million for 26. We're going to have $1.1 million in cash, $5.1 million in debt, and $2.1 million from CDBG. Parks, we're going to continue on with $244,000. So the total budget for governmental capital is going to be $41 million. Aviation capital, the funding source is going to be $33 million. Of that, you're going to have $1.5 million in cash, $18.1 million federal, $3.9 million grant, PSC is going to come up in 2022, and AIP is going to be $742,000. The biggest increase here is, as you can see, it's going to be water and sewer. Water is going to have cash of $11 million, but they're going to issue budget of $325 million in debt. Sewer is going to have no change in their cash, but they will have debt of $25 million. And then storm is going to continue with the same $2.5 million. That's going to be no change from 25. And we're going to talk about all of this. And the first one is going to be, I've got one slide, sorry. This right here just shows that how much water makes up of that $4.5 million. As you can see, 75% of that. And it has smaller amounts with storm, 80%, infrastructure and 5%, aviation at 10%. Facility and neighborhood development is at 2% also. Moving on to public works.
Yep. So our small 5% of the pie there that we got, we're appreciative of it. We're making it work. So the first project you'll see on there, the first, I think 7 here you'll see will actually be shovels in the ground this year. The last half will be design projects. That'll just be in the design phase of project. So first one there on the list is Finley Street reconstruction. That's a reconstruction of Finley Street from Monument Avenue, just over there by the Ottawa Yards, down to First Street or Springfield Street there. It'll be reconstruction of the complete of the entire roadway, new curb, sidewalks, lighting, the whole gamut of things, revitalizing that industrial area there. Next is the Salem Avenue reconstruction phase 4. So we're continuing our march up Salem Avenue. This one will be from Cornell to Emerson. Again, reconstruction, new curb, sidewalks, new roadway, lighting. It'll be just another piece of the pie that heads up all the way up to till we get to the court limits and along Salem Avenue. Number 3, that's on there because it was a part of our 26 capital plan, but we had the opportunity to advance funding from Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission to move it up. You guys have already approved this project. It's for bump out enhancements and lighting along Stewart Street there in the Hopeland, Harriet, some of those streets over there. So that'll be a good enhancement over there. Finally, there, the fourth item on the docket is the Kiwi Street safety improvements. This is a road diet along Kiwi Street from Monument Avenue all the way down to 5th Street. So Stivers to our Ottawa Yards. It'll eliminate a lane, add a shared use bike lane. So it'll be like a sidewalk, but a wider sidewalk that'll be able to be used by pedestrians and cyclists alike. It'll soften the feel there along Kiwi Street, narrowing the crossing widths, making it a little bit easier to get around. Not such a big expanse of concrete jungle out there. So really excited about that safety improvement. Thank you. Number 5 there, East 3rd Street enhancements. This is a combination of 2 projects along East 3rd Street. So one is from Webster Street to Keeley Street, and then the next one is from Keeley Street to 3rd Street, or the kind of Springfield, Keeley, Linden intersection there. It'll be the addition of a bike lane along 3rd Street, resurfacing 3rd Street, and then curb and sidewalk work as needed in that area. Number 6 is the Philadelphia Drive Traffic Calming Project. This will be the addition of a bike lane, resurfacing of Philadelphia Drive. You'll see some minor curb bump outs to define the bike lane, protect the bike lane, not like we have out here in front on 3rd Street, a protected cycle track, but a defining area at intersections so that they can define those cyclists from the motorists. So number 7, that is the reconstruction of Gettysburg. That is actually a design project, as I said. That is from, check my notes again, Gardendale to Hoover. So we've been working on Gettysburg. We've gone from the VA. We've gotten to 2nd Street. We'll be continuing a phase 3 here in the near future. And then this is phase 4. So this is under the design phase. It'll be a complete reconstruction of Gettysburg Avenue. Again, revitalizing that corridor. The West 3rd Street cycle track. This is a cycle track along West 3rd Street, as it says, from Plaza to Abbey. This will be similar to the cycle track that's out here in front of City Hall. This continues from what we've done here at City Hall, what we've done in Wright Dunbar, and will continue all the way out west by the new West Police Station, all the way out to Westtown Shopping Center. And number 9, that is the Main Street Streetscape Phase 3. So the beautification project that we did down here along Main Street and 3rd Street, adding the landscape beds and sprucing up the area a little bit. Was done ahead of NATO, but was planned before NATO. It will clean up this area. I believe we have also funds for sprucing up Private Fair Island, the main island there outside of CareSource. Number 10 is the Patterson Boulevard reconstruction. That is the reconstruction of Patterson Boulevard from Jefferson Street, or the 35 overpass, all the way up to Apple. It'll just be a new reconstruction, curb, sidewalk, pavement, lighting. It'll be in the design phase. And then the last one, number 11 there, is the Montgomery, for those that need to know the acronyms. The Great Miami Bikeway Connector. This is a project that we're collaborating with Miami Valley Conservancy District on. We're doing the design and handling the construction administration, but they're ultimately paying for all the services. And then finally, our thoroughfare and residential resurfacing. As you see up there, we paved 96 streets in 21 neighborhoods for a total, which will be a total of 56 residential and 21 thoroughfare lane miles. That thoroughfare lane miles is a little bit skewed because we've got the Main Street corridor paving in there with the thoroughfare lane miles, but we resurfaced it, so we're going to claim it. There's also, we anticipate an average pavement condition index rating for our residential streets to increase, as I said, from 49 to 75. So that's from the passage of issue 9, now issue 6 in 2017. And the current thoroughfare PCI we anticipate to be around a 61. But as I said earlier, we'll know the definite numbers later this year.
Okay, here in picture 1, this is an example of the replacement of carpet, resilient flooring, and commission chambers earlier this year. And this is out of the various improvement funds. This funding plays an important role to how we function and make large-scale improvements as a department. Some other examples, we have to replace the upper roof of our headquarters. It started to leak. And then we also replaced some concrete work out of our rec center. We replaced concrete curbs and sidewalks. Picture 2 is City Hall elevator modernization. This project will modernize the 2 passenger elevators in City Hall. Work will include improvements to the pit, hoistway, safety equipment, machine room, interior cab finishes. The elevator did receive the machines in 2014. and controls in '07. We will be able to reuse the machines for this project. However, the control we will be replacing and the traveling cable, so it will enhance the overall passenger ride and experience. One thing I did want to mention is that dating back to 2018, these will be the 10th and 11th elevators modernized for the general fund as a CIP project. So we've done a lot of work done. Number 3 is the City Hall Building Envelope Assessment and Design Service. In this project, we'll review the exterior envelope, facade, roofs, cornice, balconets, parapet walls, and other important features for an overall condition rating and estimated useful life. Based on this data, we'll determine an intervention timeframe to make necessary repairs and improvements based on the severity. We have to remember this facility was built in 1908, and due to issues that we found in the interior window well, it is imperative to review our structure and make necessary repairs as soon as we can. Okay, number 4 here is the Fire Training Center renovations. This project will be combined with the Police Academy renovations project, as both projects aim to improve the functionality of the academies. The primary focus for both locations will be renovations to the classrooms, offices, restrooms, locker rooms, and showers. For the Fire Training Center, we'll review the entire training facility for modernization. As for example, the showers and locker rooms are not accessible and were sized appropriately for future department goals. Further, the main classroom is located in an existing apparatus bay, relocating the critical equipment outside. All fire and police recruits begin their service at each of the respective academies. And with the Dayton Recovery Plan funding and renovations to existing fire stations and new police facility, we also thought it would be better to these facilities as well. And picture number 5 here is the Police Central Business District Building and Design Services. Funding was established this year for demolition of the existing DP&L steam plant located at the southwest corner of East 4th Street and South St. Clair Street. This 2026 CIP award will begin design services for a new police facility that will intentionally be located within the parcel to account for future development adjacent to the frontages of both intersecting streets. This new facility will be sized smaller than the new facility located at the Wright factory site and house uniformed officers assigned to the CBD patrol. Picture number 6 is the Police Academy renovation. Similar to the Fire Training Center renovations, this project will look to modernize and renovate the first level of the Police Academy. This level houses offices, training rooms, restrooms, and showers. And similar to the Fire Training Center, the showers and locker rooms lack accessibility, appropriate size and spacing, and are not conducive for current use. Additionally, at this site, the HVAC system will be upgraded in the entire facility, specifically separating a shared hot and cold water loop and increase to unit ventilators throughout the
How you?
Okay. This neighborhood's capital program for P&D, resource allocation to influence positive community outcomes for a total of $9.3 million. That's only for $1.1 million. $1 million for demolition and $100,000 for the mini grants. This would allow us to go have flexibility that we have already with various demolition needs, pile removal, some of our other funding sources. So. I should jump in.
This right here is pictures of Burton Park and what we'll be utilizing the issue 6 funding for this year. We're going to be doing a playground, a parking lot, and then a basketball court rebuild. We'll actually have 2 bays on it. One bay will be basketball, and the other bay will be a shared tennis pickleball court. Here, picture 3 is the Hawaii Rec Center gymnasium roof replacement. This project will fully replace the gymnasium roof at Hawaii Rec Center. In 2024, we replaced 5 of the roofs on site. Prior to this, we replaced the pool roof in 2020 and the fitness center roof in 2022. The front entry roof was added during the 09 renovations. So the gymnasium roof pictured here is the last roof to replace this facility. And it is well past its useful life, and we're thankful to be receiving the funds to wrap up that site location with new roofs. Picture number 4 here is the community golf course maintenance facility. Currently, design services are underway to renovate the existing maintenance facility at community golf course. This facility site's adjacent to those that are familiar with the course, the Hills Course hole number 9. You can tell Andy wrote this. Dale's course hole number 9 and Dale's course hole number 2. But the facility is original to the course from 1918 with a large area for material and equipment not covered from the elements. The goal of the project is to expand the facility to cover this area to the east that will allow staff to store equipment and materials inside and work on the equipment during the winter months in a temperature-controlled environment. Further, this project will improve the facility that is staffed by the course superintendent.
Afternoon, Aaron Zonin, Deputy Director for Water Department. Always feel I get to talk about some of the fun things we do in water. Expensive. Talking about expensive, number one, they're the advanced treatment and on. So this is the ability to meet compliance with PFAS. We have to meet that by 2029. So we're going to divide that project up into 2 phases. The first phase will be able to meet compliance, and that's our average daily flow at 45 million gallons a day. And then we have to meet that by 2029. Phase 2 will be to expand that facility to the 100 million gallons a day is what we're rated with the EPA. We felt that it was very important to maintain that capacity. That allowed us to expand certainly whenever that need would come along. So we'll continue with that. Number 2, we're going to continue on with the water supply treatment facilities master plan implementation. And so we took a little delay with those projects. We really wanted to work out our funding plan and strategy for the advanced treatment. And so since we have that now, you'll see projects for master plan at both. Next slide. So if you remember about a year ago, we provided an update to the commission for outside funding and our outside grant dollars that we received. That was at about $20 million, $25 million. So from that 1 year, here we are at $50 million. And so these are dollars that we've been able to secure for outside funding. No payback. And so the majority of these are for our conveyance projects, which basically allow us to combat that PFAS problem, not only with treatment, but we want to get clean water, uncontaminated water from Miami to Ottawa. So again, $50 million in grant. Next slide. So moving on then to sanitary sewer capital, we're going to continue with the facilities master plan implementation. And so, outside the anaerobic digester project, you won't see the projects with that value moving forward, but they're still important. But you'll still see some projects coming out of 2026 to implement that master plan. Also, we're working with our outside consultant for the collection system master plan. The last one was updated in 2008. And so we're looking at developing a new comprehensive list for prioritizing those capital projects for our wastewater collection system. One quick note here, the exhibit there that you see, that is the final construction for our sanitary sewer interceptor project. That was a parallel line. Basically, the interceptor is the main trunk that takes all the wastewater from the city to the plant. And so we had one large main. And so we started looking at it, and you can see the photo there. That's from inside the pipe. And the best way to describe it are ribs. And those are exposing rebar that's inside the pipe. So once that starts happening, you're looking at a collapse relatively quickly. So we needed to move fast. And that was the reason we had a parallel line design, but we still have to go back and then rehab the existing line. So that will be coming along the pike here in the next few years. Next slide. On the storm, right now, flood control master plan. Of course, all the assets are pretty close to nearing the end of their life, both flood control pump stations, in addition to the gates and valve. And so first example there, we figured, this is coming down. Let's go ahead and start early. So what we did was on this one, the first photo you see there is that's a pump station. And so what happens is during a rain event, once the river starts rising, we close valves and we pump through the line to keep the downtown area dry. Bottom is continuation of our pipe rehabilitation. And so that looks pretty bad. Hopefully next year we'll come along and show you a picture of this after. Next slide. This is one of my favorites. Starting back from 2013, this was the first year that we basically adopted a formal plan to identify risk within our capital plan. And so the green box there at the right identifies over the 12-year total, $461 million awarded. So not too bad. However, what we wanted to do is also highlight the last 3 years, what we've been able to leverage from outside funding. So the percentage there, beginning in 2022, the total contract award amount is about $18 million. 22, close to 23% of that funding is from outside, whether it's debt, grants, loans, 22%. So that's pretty good. Then in 2023, we're at almost 95%. Now that includes that anaerobic digester project. However, that's still good, noteworthy that 95% of our funding is from outside. 2024, we're at 77%. And so we'll continue that same methodology there with the leverage outside funds. That keeps rates low, gets the projects done, and hopefully keeps us in compliance.
Aviation, we have a $33.4 million capital improvement plan. The first project is replacing a passenger loading bridge. The airport, we own about 20 of these loading bridges. We have grants right now for about to replace 6 of them. This will replace 3 more. Half of our jet bridges will be replaced. So right now they're about 20 years old. So they experience a little bit of trouble with electrical issues, kind of just wearing out. So there's been a lot of complaints about those jet bridges. Project number 2, rehabilitate taxiway C1. This is down at the South Airport. So just the older taxiway, we've seen a grant from the state of Ohio to rehabilitate that. That's using state funds. Project number 3 is the MUI Old Run-Up area. As you know, the Wright State has started a flight school down the South Airport. So a lot of students. So this is going to help us with traffic down at that airport. So it'll be a bump out. Students can pull over to the side of the schools down the taxiway and interfere with other airplanes taking off and landing in that area. So this is going to help with traffic, and that's using airport improvement funds. The next project, MGY Runway 20. That's to improve the approach area, Runway 20, which is just south of the Austin Pike approach in that runway. So we see some unraveling there, so we're going to get that repaired so it doesn't cause any flight issues. So we're going to use AIG funding. That's in infrastructure funds again. Slides. Number 5, that's rehabilitate taxi and whiskey. As you guys are aware that when Emory closed the airport, we decided to deactivate that taxiway because the primary service that side of the airfield, which commercial airplanes are going on. But now that we're seeing more activity on that side with Sierra Nevada, more coming, we're going to reactivate that taxiway. So that's about a $2.6 million project. And this is phase number 2 of phase 3. A couple weeks ago, you approved phase 1, which is on the east side. So now this is on the west side, phase 2. The next one, project number 6, is the ATPM phase 2 of Concourse B. We want to rehabilitate Concourse B. It's a $10 million project that we want to do. Basically, what you see in the front of the terminal right now, the lobby, we're going to take that inside the terminal. We're going to put terrazzo flooring down the center of the concourse. There'll be bump out windows that give more space, ticket counter, better lighting. So it's really going to be fabulous. So I'm really excited about that. With the government shut down now, and all these projects on hold pretty much, but we are working. There's a couple of options that we could do if the ATPM funding doesn't come through. We can use the PFC application. Because that's my backup option. Basically. Grant. Project number 7 is a terminal building. As I told you, this airport really hasn't been, we've been building hangars down there. We haven't paid attention to that terminal. Terminal was built back in the 70s, so I want to upgrade that. We've had some bids, roughly about a $2 million project to upgrade that terminal down there, just give it a more refreshed look, similar to what we had at Dayton National. So that funding is pending, again, with the ATP funding. Now with the government shutdown, we're not hearing when that program is going to reopen and opportunities for that. When it does open up, we will definitely apply to see if we get the funds to upgrade that terminal. Project number 8 is a drainage issue. Down at the South Airport, there's a lot of issues with the area, the infield area is not drained properly. So it's a very small project, about $145,000. A total $33 million. Thank you.
Other capital equipment funding, including technology for 2026. On the left-hand side, you can see the total allocation, which is $22.6 million. The allocations are funded from your resources. Cash allocations are $1.2 million. The funded equipment totals to $5.7 million. Technology allocations are $11.6 million, and all other funding sources are $4.1 million. And this slide shows all funding sources for all departments that had either capital equipment or technology funded in 2026 budget. To highlight a few of them, police department has, excluding the cruiser outfit, police department has funding for 20 new cruisers that is funded from cash capital, which is totaling just over $1 million. For the fire department, that's mostly funded from debt. There is a $3.5 million allocation that includes 1 new ladder truck, 1 new fire engine, and 1 new medic. And as you can see here, the ladder truck is $2 million. And so we plan to fund the ladder truck to keep up with the almost replacement schedule, because we still haven't caught up to the replacement schedule. We're close, but we have not caught up. So we plan to fund this every time we issue debt, since there is such a big price tag on the ladder truck. And as you can see, the engine is half of the cost of the ladder truck at $1 million, and medic is $475,000. As for the technology, the largest increase in technology is $10 million allocation for the ERP. This includes the expenditure budgets only. You may recall we did set aside funding for the ERP. We were being prudent, and when we did have access funding, we started to set aside funding for the ERP. We have a total of $15 million set aside. We have spent a little over $1 million of that. And so we are adding an expenditure budget from that cash allocation of $10 million in 2026. The other thing I want to highlight, as Lachey mentioned earlier, this is a major undertaking. And the organization together has been working diligently to map out the current processes, map out the future processes, along with identifying the system requirements, issuing the RFP all throughout the year. And so I do want to highlight that there has been a tremendous amount of work that has taken place in the organization to move the ERP process along. In the other funding sources, these are special revenue funds like the maintenance fund and right-of-way fund. It also includes the Your Dollars, Your Neighborhood and internal service fund. From these funds, we're funding key public works vehicles, such as de-icing trucks and bucket trucks. And so as you can see, all together, our capital equipment and technology totals to $22.6 million for 2026. Here we can see the debt position, as we mentioned earlier, in the very beginning in your presentation about the 2015 charter amendment, which created the policy budget. So as part of that policy budget process, that ordinance was that ordinance that was passed also required us to discuss the debt position on an annual basis with you all. For governmental debt, we were at 71.7 million in 2021 and 99.7 million in 2024. The increase is due to the debt issuance that occurred in 2022 and 2024. In terms of enterprise outstanding debt, we went from 153.4 million to 150.7 million dollars. And this is, again, kudos to the water department, because water department has changed their strategy for the funding sources and are leveraging the free funding, so to speak, from the grants as opposed to issuing debt. And so that's why we're seeing that reduction in the enterprise debt. Including the outstanding debt, loans and lease payments, we went from $166.3 million to $186.3 million. And this is related to the principal and interest forgiveness loans. Although they are grants, they're still sitting on our books. And so that's why we're seeing that increase in the enterprise debt when we include the outstanding loans and lease payments. So in totality, the total outstanding debt is $286 million for the city of Dayton as a whole. Below, you can see the breakdown of the various enterprise funds. Aviation is going down, and that's because they have not issued that in a few years. And so that's why we're seeing that reduction in aviation. As you may recall, and you know this, that the city issues debt every other year. Last time when we issued debt was in 2024, which was $21 million. In 2026 is the next debt year. As you can see, the list is on the right-hand side. We are issuing $2 million in the infrastructure, $8.3 million related to facilities improvement, $5.7 million funds capital equipments, and recreation is $5.1 million, which totals to $21.1 million. This shows the governmental and total debt per capita in terms of what this means for our bond rating. Moody's bond rating of double. The revenue to debt ratio is between 3.3% and 6.7%, and our ratio is 3.1%, which we will discuss in the next slide a little bit more. There are two limitations to our bond rating or bond issuance, legal limitation and the ability to pay limitation. The ability to pay is on the property tax. As you know, 5 mil of our 10 mil property tax is devoted to the debt issuance, and it goes towards paying the debt obligations. Due to the property revaluation, and we saw the increase in property values, our property taxes, the revenue from the property taxes also went up. And so even though we changed the millage, we transfer $0.5 mil from debt issuance to, or debt, paying the debt down to the general fund, our capacity to issue debt hasn't gone down because we're seeing that increase in revenue. Legal limitation is what you see in the bottom section. We have unmooted debt limitation of 5.5%. And per state law, that is $112.2 million. Our net debt within this 5.5 limitation is $90.4 million. This table shows the 7 years of our debt service expenditures. That has increased over the years, but are mostly flat for 2023 and 2024. As you can see, it's around $11.9 million for both years. This table also shows the debt as a percentage of revenue. And you can see that 3.1%, which is a decrease of 0.4% year over year. And there is an indicator from the Auditor of State. There's a measure that is measures the debt ratio. The critical indicator is above 15%, and negative indicator is above 12%. So as you can see, we are clearly way below that limitation. And here we can see the comparison of our debt ratio with other cities. As you can see, the city of Dayton is ranked number one in the 6 cities that are listed here with 3.1% debt service as percentage of revenue. And now we have our finance department and IT department who are going to provide updates from the individual departments. Tina?
While they're getting into position, I just want to applaud you on your rating for the debt resource. So that is more than special. Definitely, I'm rating deal as well as number one. I said why. So again, congratulations.
Good afternoon. We're the last 2 slides, so we'll make this quick. Save the best for last. Right. So these are key accomplishments for finance, and really these 2 of these efforts are really more collaborative in nature across the organization, and so it really speaks to the synergies that have been developed between departments. So the first one is the ERP, so Enterprise Resource Planning. It's the innovative initiative to transform not only the way we operate, but the way we deliver services to our residents and to businesses. So the 3 bullet points really are kind of building blocks on top of each other. So we started with our current and future process mapping, and we talked about how we operate currently. And then GFOA kind of led us through, okay, what would that look like in a future state? So there's been a significant amount of time staff has spent documenting those processes and really viewing kind of what our future will look like. The next building block was the development of our RFP functional requirements. That also took a significant amount of time because we really had to think through not only what do we want currently in our system, or what would the city look like in 20 years, for example, right? This is a huge investment. So we don't want to just make a decision based on our current processes. And lastly, right now, we're in the current process of reviewing RFP proposals. So we received 17. And so we've kind of bunched those up to not create too much pressure on staff. And so we've kind of created blocks of maybe 3 proposals a week or so that we're reviewing, and we'll come back together as a team and identify, as Lachey spoke earlier, identify the top 3 and whittle it down to the top 1 selection. The next area is our State of Ohio financial audit. Again, this is a collaborative effort. We couldn't do this without the participation of all city departments. Once again, the city has received an unmodified opinion related to the 2024 state audit, and that is one of the best opinions you could receive. It indicates that the auditor is satisfied that our financial statements are free from any material misstatement. They're in compliance with GAAP, which is generally accepted accounting principles, and there's no material weaknesses in our internal controls. And that really speaks to how we perform when we issue debt, right? It speaks to our investors. It shows that we are financially sound. And it also speaks to our credit agencies, right? Because we have a great credit rating. It's almost like your credit report, right? That's important to you, right? And it gives you the best interest rate. And so we want that best interest rate for the city. And so that work that we do on an annual basis speaks to that. And then lastly is interest earnings. And we spoke a lot about utilizing one-time sources, right, for this structural imbalance. And these interest earnings that we've gained over the past couple of years have really helped us meet that need. So finance has managed an investment portfolio with gross interest earnings of nearly $15.5 million in 2024, and we're projecting $17 million in 2025. So
And IT can always find ways to spend that money. Thank you, Tina. Afternoon, everybody. We've got a lot of accomplishments. I promised the leadership that I would try to go to one slide. I've got a couple of attachments if we have time. No, I'm kidding. So here's what we have. We've supported Empower Ohio. As you all know, we funded them initially with the seed funding to get started in the city of Dayton. And I'll tell you a quick success story. We have a young man in our office right now, a gentleman named Adrian Taylor. Adrian is an example of what happens to kids that go through that program. So we hired Adrian to come in and do tech work for us. Adrian today was his potluck going away party. Because Adrian was given an offer that he couldn't refuse. It was more money, better benefits. Not that our benefits aren't amazing, but this is exactly why I think you funded that program, was to watch that income elevation for people that maybe didn't have those opportunities to start with. And so for us, that's a pipeline, right? And so I'm somewhat selfish because we need talent, right? And I can't expect that we're always going to be able to go out to market to get it. And so we've got to develop them in-house. And so I'm very thankful for that funding and that opportunity. We partnered with a lot of agencies. You've probably heard a lot of partnership and collaboration. Well, the NATO Summit was no exception to that partnership. And so from the IT perspective, it was about communications. It was about cybersecurity. Because as you remember, maybe 3 days before the NATO Summit, Kettering Health got hacked. Right. So we were really nervous. We were a little bit anxious on our toes in that regard to ensure that summit went smoothly from a technical perspective. We've done a lot with infrastructure. One of the things that we're getting ready to do next year is to move our data center. It may sound like you can just pick it up and move. That's not really the way that it works. It's a lot of planning. It's a lot of coordination. It's a lot of collaboration. And not only are we moving the data center, but we've migrated. Many of you may have heard of a technology called VMware. We used to run VMware for all of our virtualization. They were bought by a company called Broadcom. And what Broadcom decided to do was end perpetual licensing and put you all on subscription licensing. And so not only are we moving the data center, but we have moved to an entirely new platform at the same time, which can be a little scary and risky, but check, it's complete. And that ended up saving the city from 300% price escalations that were coming through that subscription model. So that was a big effort and one that we will complete in 2026. We established fiber connectivity to the airport. That's something we've talked about for a long time. As we started to think through our disaster recovery, our business continuity strategies, we quickly realized we weren't where we needed to be. Gil and his staff out at the airport have a data center. And so we were able to partner with them, get dedicated fiber out to the airport and establish a DR site. So if we do ever have a catastrophic issue here at City Hall, we can roll over to our backup site and keep operations running. We've worked to assess the compliance and the needs associated with House Bill 96. As many of you know, on September 30th, we were obligated to have a cybersecurity program in place. The good thing is that we didn't get lucky. We had prior preparation, and then the opportunity came upon through the House Bill 96. We are in compliance. You should feel very confident in the work that's been done by your team to ensure that every element of House Bill 96 has been adhered to. So we feel really good there as well. You've heard a lot about the ERP. The thing I would tell you is that you don't talk about an ERP if your IT operations aren't humming along. So we have busted our tails for the last 4 years to get the core day-to-day functioning of IT to a point where we can start to talk about the bigger and better things like ERP. And then lastly, we also realized that we had a real problem with Windows 11. Not the user experience. I'm not sure I'm sold on that either, but the fact that we had many workstations that were not yet Windows 11 compliant. And so that's a problem, right? It's a cybersecurity risk because we can't patch them, but it's an operational risk because you have compatibility issues with newer software. And so we were lucky to have great partnership in the Office of Management and Budget because we established an entirely new program here at the city, which, as you know, isn't very easy to do. And so we are now on a 5-year refresh cycle where every department doesn't have to worry about technology procurements on workstations. We've planned that, we've budgeted it for you so we can ensure that everybody has the tools they need to be successful. So, those are a select collection of accomplishments, but what I'll tell you is this: we are going to continue to bust our tails to position the city for success. This ERP effort is by far the largest technology project this city will ever go after, and we're super excited. We have a great deal of confidence. We know it's going to be successful, and we know it's going to pay. So with that, I'll conclude my comments.
Questions?
Okay. Pat, Richard's questions. There's lots.
Thank you. I just wanted to acknowledge the entire team. Thank you very much to the leadership and the city manager's office, as well as to all of the It's important to have the directors, division, leadership. This is great work. And I really do appreciate all of you all and your commitment. This is, in fact, a heavy lift. And we appreciate the times and hours that has been spent to do this work for the residents in the city of Dayton. So kudos to you all. I do have a couple questions. Very few. So the first is in regards to public works. That's part 7. Well, first let me back up because I didn't know this question to Mr. Turner and to the work that they did and the air to and thank you for highlighting things to that one mention. The rental car services, how are we doing in those areas? From what I've seen, you can correct me for certain, but are we in terms of manpower, are they keeping up with the demand from the car services at the airport? It seems like the airport receives a lot of business for rental car. And just out of curiosity, are they keeping up with the demand?
That's a good question. Well, it's a hit or miss. Whenever we like for them to always have cars available. A lot of times people, they move cars around, or when events happen, people take a one way and they take cars away. So it's hard to say. We talk with them all the time to say, hey, you need to have vehicles for our customers. But sometimes they fail, and for reservation. So that's an ongoing battle, and this happens not just at Dayton National. This happens. I was talking to the senator about this, and it happens at large airports like Houston, airports like Dallas and Atlanta. You know, and especially now with all the flight cancellation. Okay, I can get a flight, get a rental car, I'm going some way, and that strains everything. I think overall, we have 5 brands of rental car companies. So there's enough companies, but sometimes they fail for us to have the products here.
Thank you. And then in regards to public works, I believe it's chart number 7, the 6,500 lot that we are doing passes on. So do we know if that number is accurate, given the number of regulation efforts that we have made? That is that a ballpark figure? Are we estimating that number, or how are we keeping track? I know, but the passes, but the question is in regards to the additional legwork that we have done with demolition. And are we adding to that?
So it fluctuates.
It's fluctuating.
And what happens is we'll go out the first time and you actually send someone out prior to the crews going out. They take pictures of the addresses and actually puts in the order that they will go to them. But that changes from cycle to cycle. So it will go up, it'll go down. The house was a vacant structure, now it's a vacant lot. So, but on average, that's about where we're at. So, and then we'll have later in the year, whenever, it's the grow season slows down and the heat comes up, and that number can drop down again. At that time, we may get a area that doesn't need to be mowed. But that would be a fair average to say, about 6,500 approximately.
The other thing that I would like to mention in regards to the vacant lots. So I know there are many adjacent property owners that have assumed the responsibility in the maintenance of the vacant lots. And as being, good neighbors, if you will. But what it does is it takes it off of you all's radar. So finding a way and a means to hold those property owners responsible for who are not maintaining those lots. And so too, that the fees could be applied to the lot itself, but that it is not noted on your record. So I don't know what the answer is, but I'm just asking that be something that we consider doing, because with all of the vacant lots and many adjacent property owners assuming that responsibility, and then they may come through, the staff may come through and say, oh, this lot is cut. And then who is in fact charged with the assessment, meaning that you all didn't cut it. So it's not fair or accurate to say that the city cut it.
When we don't, and that the situation you just explained, then we would not take and cut it.
But we also want to hold that property owner responsible for not cutting the lot. So just finding the means of how we would address that concern. I'm sorry, Ms. Reedy.
So one of the things, we already have a program where when we mow lots, we will assess the property to some extent. Collection on that amounts to almost nil. But if a good neighbor mows a lot, and we don't have a means to assess what we didn't do. And so unless the neighbor, petitions for something, there's not really anything we can do when someone steps in and, wants to be a good citizen and mows the lot in our absence. But when we mow it, we do bill the property owner for it. And when those bills get to a select collection amount, we submit that to the property as assessment.
What I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that in order for there to be necessity applied to the vacant lots, we made them out to fall back on taking the responsibility of cutting those lots if we are not in ownership of those. Thank you. And Mr. Escobar, just a couple questions for you. The sign. Sure. Signage for some of the road diet projects, I mean, like Main Street, and where are we on those projects, as well as like Wayne and Wilmington? And also, is Hoover Avenue, is that on the list for resurfacing?
Yes, that is on the paving list. We're working with our contractor to get over there and pave it this year still. As far as the signage on some of the streets, Main Street, Wayne Avenue, some of the bump outs and stuff of that nature, we're working with our contractors. Unfortunately, the last thing to come is the street signs, the signs that go up in the delineators, so the little posts that you see going on. So those are the last things to come, but we are going to add delineators to the bump outs on Wayne, on Payne, add to the ones on the Stewart Street enhancements, just so people can see. I think, we are going to add the little median noses, but I mean, they're retroreflective and that's great, but when snow comes, our snow plows aren't seeing them. And then also sometimes you need that vertical reference for our motorists to help them remember that there's a curve there that's been installed. So that's in progress. We're working with our contractors to get those installed.
Thank you, because we have a number of concerns with that.
I get those phone calls too.
Thank you. And last question, again, just want to make a comment, great work. So where in the budget, where are our inputs? You just like highlight like where they are, and I think it may be noted for future references that the commission inputs are identified in the various sections of the briefing in the budget process.
So the priorities are captured from all of those inputs, whether it was inputs by commission, inputs by citizens and the Dayton survey, inputs by the departments. If you're speaking specifically about the individual ones that you gave to Ms. Jackson, those were all adds to a budget that we had to cut $10 million out of. So there aren't, but it doesn't mean that there's not work being done. So for instance, one of the ideas or that we've been wanting to pursue, and that was one of the items mentioned, was an extra waste collection crew to address cleanliness in the neighborhoods, being able to go and pick up proactively. We don't have a funding source for that, and it's expensive because it's, we need equipment and staffing, but we're working on and think we have potentially identified a funding source to be able to introduce that sometime in 2026. But we haven't been able to, we had no ability to add anything to any additional expenses that weren't already priorities, or that weren't already identified, I guess. So I can follow up individually with each of you to make sure that I answer your questions specifically, but.
Oh, that's fair. Thank you. But I think it would be helpful if we
receive some type of a summary to state just what you are suggesting in terms of like where those priorities lie and where they may be identified in the budget or where the cuts are. Because I don't know if, and I don't want to speak for my colleagues, but I would like to know some follow-up as to where the priorities lie. What is the end result of those priorities that were submitted? And maybe they are in the budget, or, maybe there are some areas where they are in fact identified, but maybe missing in others due to budget constraints. Thank you.
Mr. Fairchild.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one question for Mr. Escobar. Somewhere in here, I think the number 5,500 lane miles was used. Is that the number of lane miles, or is that the multiple passes on our lane miles?
No, so I think I said we have 1,400 total lane miles. So we're nowhere near the 55 lane miles, I think is what I was trying to highlight. I might have gave another zero or something in there.
No, the numbers in there in the report is 5,500. I think it's because we do multiple passes.
Yeah.
On over the course. So that's helpful because I was like, we're only doing 55 miles and we got it's 100 years on that.
I get it.
I don't know where this falls into it, but I was at Bethel Baptist Church on Sunday. Paul Lawrence Dunbar, right along there, is in terrible shape. I don't know what the CPI is. I don't know where it falls, but
that's one for this year. Yep. Yeah. So our contractors back in, they're over in South Park right now, and they're kind of making the loop around the city. So Paul Lawrence Dunbar is one. That's a neighborhood where we did a lot of curb and sidewalk work over in that area. So trying to button all that stuff up.
Great, thank you. And then one question, City Manager, you just said there were $10 million cuts. Is that itemized, the cuts itemized in the report somewhere?
We talked about it in general terms. I know that Abby highlighted what the majority of those cuts were, and we talked about the one-time funding sources that covered them.
Yeah, they were included in the overview presentation. Actually, there are a little over $14 million in revenues in budget solutions that we had to come up with in order for us to balance the budget. And so it's not necessarily a budget cut, but if it wasn't for that $14 million budget solution, then we would have had to cut $14 million out of the budget.
Thank you.
Good.
The cuts were less than $1 million across all of the, and it was again staffing and some of that stuff that we highlighted. We went.
Mr. Joseph.
I just want to join my colleagues in thanking you all. I love the chart that water shows. It shows the number of breaks curving downward. This is a long-term plan and it's working. I love it. Again, you all are looking out for our kids and our grandkids and the future of the city. And it's close and near and dear to all of our hearts. And we love that, especially in tough times. You're still doing it. That's great. So thank you all for what you do.
Okay, again, congratulations. Thanks again for all the work that you've done. Just two quick things. Just want to indicate, you said the 93% of the potholes that are identified on the app go within two days, 48 hours.
48 hours. Yep.
48 hours. And then going down from 21 days to 14 days in terms of mowing.
So we have parks that we'll be doing improvements on, and once the improvements are done in the parks, we're migrating them from 21-day parks to 14.
Yeah, we were 30 days, right?
Right.
21.
Now, we've had gyrations like every year. We keep trying to come up with ways to improve, ways to be more efficient.
Right.
Buying light area mowers that increases efficiency. So as we progress, we continue to try to improve on what the park appearance is. And one of the main things that people see when they pull up is how tall the grass is.
Okay, I know before issue 9, we were at about 30 days. Then we went down to approximately 21. Now rotation is 14.
So we have some parks that are already at 7 days. We have some parks that are 14 and some that are 21. And we're really trying to target those 21-day parks to get them down to 14.
Yeah, just thank you guys for so much for the great work you've done. Appreciate it.
So Mayor and Commissioners, this concludes our budget briefings. We will have the rest of the analysis, which we used to call our gray book addendums, to put into your binders by end of day on Friday. So you will have a complete analysis and data information with regards to this budget recommendation. On October 29th and November 5th, we will have our first and second readings of the resolution that adopts this budget and the ordinance per our charter guidance. So that's October 29th and on November 5th. We will follow up with some of your questions you brought up today. If you have any other questions or clarifications, please forward those through the city manager's office so that we can have make sure that everybody gets all of the information they need. And I too want to, first and foremost, thank our management and budget staff. This is an extraordinary lift. They are a small and mighty team. And there have been many late nights, early mornings, as they have worked towards today. But that doesn't go, it's not just them doing the work. They're also collaborating very closely, pushing and pulling our departmental staff to come along through their budget process with they are the comprehensive budget picture, right? And that's super important for us to have a budget that is effective, efficient, and efficacious across all of our service delivery and our organization. So kudos, Abby, to your leadership and to your team. I also want to again thank department staff and their leadership team for all of their work, and a special shout out this year to Public Affairs and Andrew, particularly for the videos that we wanted to create a little more.
I think that was a great setup for each one of the segments that you had. Absolutely do something like that at every commission meeting. So.
Yeah.
Haven't worked. What's up?
We wanted to try and add a little bit more dynamic. Pictures are always great, and I thought those videos showed off the work in the CSA and celebrated the CSA work. So anyway, want to thank Andrew Estevez for all of his great work, and see you at 6.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right.